atong limpihan tong ato ang Pernary Garden para nga pagdaghan na sa ato ang mga bisita. So nga ato ang fern daghan siya. Budugang po tagtanom sa other area pa nga ato ang katamnan. So na-form ang Balinsa Saya Twin Lakes Farmers Association. Pinagi sa ato ang Office of the Provincial Government, former George Arnaiz. So karon nga ginahinay na og kuan nga nanang ato ang mga ecotourism activity, ato ang guiding, ato ang mga boating activity. So nakalikom na, naka-earn nagpundo ang ato ang Balinsa Saya Twin Lakes Farmers Association nga makapadalagan nga kanang kami ragyod sa pinagi sa amuang mga opisyalis ug mga membro.
Nakasugod kog trabaho dire 2009. Sa pagsugod nako og trabaho daghan ming bisita itong mga panahon na pagkakaron nga naatay COVID. Mingaw na tagbisita dire. Kumparar sa una lahi na gud kaayo.
Kami dire sir pag wala nang turista wan mi tado mi sa COVID minus mig pring hambuyan pagkakaron. Walay income kayo. Tapos di po may kita og lain trabaho. Napagtahan ko tanan. Sa una nga daghang bisita, medyo okay kayo ang nga buhi. Karon nga wala na. Lugaw-lugaw ko tayo ni. Ang gibuhat ko sa nga pagka naroon nga COVID pa ta. Dagas og lubi. O kabaligya-baligya ra mig inagmay nga manok. Kunguhaan sa pingabuyan tapos na aramay mga tanong dito sa akong pares. Kamote, langhoy, saging. Kabag-abag ro gusto ang pingabuyan. Ay isip mo kayo matay ka puntahan.
Before na COVID sir, kuan kanang amo ang maluto dire nami makahurot og mga pulo ka kilong manok. Sa una mo ni among katong before COVID mo ni amo ang mabutangan og mga order pasunod number 1 hantod unsa nga kuan lugos namang gani namo masunod og kuan sir luto kay tungod sa kadaghan. Pagkakaron sir kuan mingaw na kaayo. Nagani sa iska adlaw walay magpaluto na mo dire.
Alahara ko kayo sa una kay karon sa una magsinubra man ang piningabuhi. Daghan namang mga turis taga laing lugar. Kumpara pagkakaron, ultimo taga atuan din ni. Wala na gani. Ga duty mi dire. Anay panahon nga wagoy bisita. Wagi mi income madlag pulis amuha. Sa wala purong sakita, ako motor dire ra gud impas. Siyempre kabulan ako motor, ikas pagkuha na impas dire. Ani ra among bangka-bangka. Kay dagko mutog income. Karon, dugos kita kapalit sa kilong bugas. Ay wa na gima, income na to ini.
Before COVID, maka-income na ay 20,000 sa iska adlaw ra na siya. Dayon karon gikan atong July 18 nag-open mi dire. Gamay gud mi kayog income matag adlaw na ragoy kuan na itag 200 kapin sa matag adlaw.
Karong nga panahon na layo ro guys sa una. Sa una medyo kita sa adlaw inam hurot ka anos kasi man na. Kumpara karon. Daghan po kayong ngubulahan mga kauban ako.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiling, telas ng sinakalan, alam ng To our brothers and sisters who have contracted and are suffering due to the coronavirus disease, we pray that God's healing hand may rest upon you. To medical doctors, nurses, and the supporting staff who are in the front line of the fight against COVID-19, may the good Lord sustain and inspire you to render your life-saving services with due care, love, and compassion. To all those who have lost their loved ones due to the coronavirus outbreak, we convey our deepest sympathies. We pray that their souls, through God's mercy, may rest in eternal peace. We pray that grant all bereaved families His consolation and strengthen their faith and hope in Jesus Christ, the risen Lord. Amen. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Department of Trade and Industry Region 7's live show for Youth Entrepreneurship Program, or YEP. My name is Rachel Lenly Tuhoy, and I am your host for today. How are we all doing? I hope that we all had a very productive week, and hopefully it was as stress-free as possible. Sana din everyone is feeling happy and healthy by staying fit, taking vitamins, and drinking lots of liquids. Very important, guys. So, for this afternoon's webinar, our focus will center on empowering our youth to become great entrepreneurs of the Philippines in the near future. This is why DTI Region 7 came up with this webinar series that we call the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, or YEP. We've already talked about building our developing your own brand during our previous YEP webinar. So if you haven't seen that, it's in the Facebook page of the DTI Region 7. So feel free to check that after this one. And this afternoon, we figured since you've already learned how to build your brand, maybe it's time to figure out how you make money by also developing your own business model that will help structure how you can earn with your business. That's why, of course, for this afternoon, we have invited some of the best young entrepreneurs in the region to give us more insights and tips on how to develop our business models. And like our previous webinars, after we get to listen to our young entrepreneurs, we will have a sit-down chat with them to give us a chance to pick their brains and learn more from them. All right. So before we go ahead with our program, let us first get to know the young entrepreneurs that we have invited for this afternoon. I am very excited. I hope you are all very excited too. So first up, we have Charmaine Ong de Leon, the brains behind successful businesses like Pop District Bazaar, Sugbo Mercado, The Market, Street Food, and other pop-up events. She also started a creative agency called Dual Story and started an online platform and YouTube channel called Ready to Adult PH, where she talks about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and adulting how-tos. Wow, seems like we could all learn from this. Next up, we have Aaron Q, a world-renowned trainer, speaker, and mentor. Aaron is a certified in-company trainer of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a guest speaker of multiple universities, corporate events, and organizational events. He also won the Consistent Notable Networker Awardee for most referrals, visitors, and one-to-ones of the Business Network International. Wow, this is so amazing. And lastly, our last speaker is Jan Rodriguez, a self-made restaurateur and a self-taught chef for over 18 years. He is also the owner and creative consultant for E3 Creative, a company that specializes in branding and brand management, customer experience design, and restaurant design and development. Wow, so those speakers sound really amazing, and we are very excited to learn from them this afternoon. Now that we have an idea of who our speakers are, let us all watch our video introduction on the business model canvas to give us an in-depth understanding on the strategies of building the foundation of your business. Please watch this.
So one of the interesting things about thinking about a startup is how is your company going to be organized? And what we know is the most efficient way to think about all the pieces, just all the parts, is by a business model. And so the next question is, okay, Steve, you just told me to think about a business model, but what is a business model? What are all the pieces? Well, let's take a look. And a business model is how a company creates value for itself while delivering products or services for its customers. Now, if you think about it, in the old days, we'd think about how to organize a company around functional organizations. We think, no, a company is about its sales department or its engineering department, and you would draw an org chart. But now we're going to draw a very different diagram. We're going to draw a diagram of how to think about all the pieces of a business. And so let's take a look at these 9 boxes. 9 boxes to describe any company from the world's largest to a 2-person startup starting in your parents' garage. Let's take a look at the first piece called the value proposition. The value proposition answers the question, what are you building and for who? The value proposition says, hey, it's not about your idea or product, it's about solving a problem or a need for a customer. That is, what pain are you solving? What gain are you creating? And more importantly, who are your customers? Now, value proposition is a fancy word for what product or service are you building. This is where you normally would list all your features and here's all the speeds and feeds and benefits and whatever, but you're really going to be asking a different question than might have been used to. It's not all about your technology. Your technology is just part of the value proposition. Customers really don't care about your technology. The customers are trying to solve a problem or fulfill a need. By the way, we'll be talking about this through multiple lectures. The difference between a problem and a need is, a problem is, I have an accounting problem, or I want to use a word processor. And those types of products solve problems. But there are other things that human beings do, like I want to be entertained, or I want to have a date. Those are some basic hardwired social needs. Or I want to communicate with my friends, like Facebook or Twitter. Those are needs. Needs are different than problems. And by the way, if you could find products that solve needs, your total available market, as you'll see later, is huge compared to I solve specific problems. So the next thing is, who are my customers? Who are they and why would they buy? And as you'll hear a number of times, your customers do not exist to buy, you exist for them. And what you're going to do by getting out of the building is figuring out all their geographic, social characteristics, demographics, such that you actually could draw and put up a picture on your wall of who the archetype is or who the persona is of your customer. And it turns out that in most startups, you might have more than 1 or 2 or 3 types of customer archetypes and personas, but you need to understand them in detail. And there is no possible way you could have anything but a hypothesis on day 1 of who they are. The next is channels. How does your product over here get to your customers over here? And we use distribution channels to do that. Now, what's really interesting is pre-1990s, the only channels to get to a customer was a physical channel. That is, you went to a store, you had salespeople, there was physical distribution. But since the mid-1990s, in the last couple of decades, we now have virtual channels. The web, mobile, cloud. And so distribution channels, the first question you want to ask is, how will I be selling and how will I be distributing my products? Are they through physical channels or are they web mobile? Or given today, almost every physical channel also has a web presence. What is the relationship of how your product gets from your company to the customers? Customer relationships is kind of the fourth piece. And customer relationships has a really interesting interaction with these other 3 pieces. It basically says, how do I get customers, how do I keep them, and how do I grow them? And just like thinking about distribution channels, these are very different for web mobile than they are for physical channels. But visually, they kind of look like this double-sided funnel. So let's just take a look at quickly a web example. In getting customers, you're going to be worrying about how do I acquire them? That is, how do I get them even to my website? How do I activate them? That is, how do I make them do something? And then later on, we'll see, after I got them, how do I keep them around? That is, how do I not lose them through attrition and churn? And then what can I do once I have customers to make them spend more money or use my product even more? And so one of the things we'll be thinking about is, how do I get, keep, and grow customers? And just like every other step, you might have hypotheses on day one, but you're only going to figure this out when you're out of the building. The next thing is revenue streams. How do you actually make money from your product and service being sold to customer segments? Revenue streams basically ask the question, what value is the customer paying for? And it actually has you think about, what's the strategy of how I'm going to capture that value? Is it I'm going to just have a direct sale and it's a transaction based on price? Is it a freemium model where I'm going to give away the product for free and hope that some portion convert later? Is it a license or subscription model? That revenue model is different than the pricing tactics. That is, what is the dollar or pound amount or euro amount that I'm going to be charging? Again, the only way to figure this out is being able to interact with tens or hundreds or thousands of customers till you finally understand what the right revenue stream and revenue model is. The next piece you want to think about is, what are the key resources? What do you need to make the business model work? What assets are important? And what's an example of an asset in a key resource? Well, finance. Do you need capital? Do you need a line of credit? Some assets and resources are physical. Do you need physical plant, like a manufacturing line? Do you need specialized machines? Do you need vans and for delivery? Do you need cars? Is there something else you need? Is there intellectual property you need? Is there patents you need to acquire or protect? Do you need to acquire customer lists? Or is it just that you need to get great people, great software programmers in a specific area, or great hardware designers, or great manufacturing people? And then finally, again, the interaction between intellectual and human capital that's another key resource. What specifically do you need to do to keep these people, and who are they? The next piece is, who are your key partners and suppliers? And partnerships are kind of interesting, is we need to ask ourselves, before what's the deal, is what exactly are we acquiring from partners? And also, what activities are they going to perform and when? And this is where startups sometimes make a mistake of thinking, well, large companies do partnerships, I guess I need those too on day one. Turns out the types of partnerships you need in year one are certainly not the ones you're going to need in year 3 or 5 or 10. And the types of partnerships could be strategic alliances, joint ventures, just regular suppliers and buyers. And so you need to be thinking through who they are and actually getting out of the building and testing them. Next are key activities. What's the most important things you need to do for the business to make the business model work? Are you in the production business? Are you making something? Or are you in the problem-solving business, like you're doing consulting or engineering? Or are you managing supply chains? What are the key activities you need to become expert at? And then finally, all this adds up on the left-hand side over here to costs. What are the costs and expenses to operate the business model? One of the interesting things about cost is it's not just the obvious ones, like people or buildings or materials. What you're really going to be asking are, what are the entire costs to operate our business model? And so you want to think about what are the most important costs you need to worry about? What are the most expensive resources you're going to need to pay for? And what key activities are the most expensive? And then you want to ask the typical accounting things, what are fixed costs? What are variable costs? Are there economies of scale? And you want to start getting a good handle on what it is that will end up costing you money to run your business.
All right. Now that we have watched and learned from that very informative video on business model canvas, I think this is the perfect time for us to bring in our invited entrepreneurs so they can share how they develop their own business models. All right, let's bring in our speakers and proceed to our next segment, which we call My Business Model Transforming Idea into Real Biz. Hello, everyone. Hello, Charm, Dan, and Aaron. How are you
Good
doing?
afternoon.
Hello, everyone.
Magandang hapon
Maing
din eh.
hapon. We are very happy to have you here, and we are very excited to hear your talks and throw our questions to you later during our sofa chat. So, all right, let's keep the ball rolling, and we will start our learning with your tips on starting a business. Charm, the screen is yours.
Hi everyone, my name is Charm from Reddit Adult Philippines. Today I will be talking about igniting your idea and making it into a business. Okay, so if you're not familiar with what I do, I would like to introduce myself as someone in the business of encouraging business because I run food bazaars, food markets, and other platforms that encourage startups, that MSMEs, and online businesses to physically sell their products and to test out their market. So I encourage people to start their businesses and as well as their side hustles. So before we dive into that, let's talk about the types of businesses. So we have here the product or service. That's what you're selling to people, and we have here physical or digital. That's your platform in which in where you are selling. So you can actually you can actually have either a product sold digitally or a service sold physically, or a product sold physically and a service sold digitally. Okay, so these four can be interchanged. You just have to identify what you want to sell and where you want to sell it. Okay, so I'm gonna be covering this in 6 steps. The first is that eureka moment. So that eureka moment is basically when you have the idea. Okay, it's when you found a problem and you want to present a solution. And that solution is mostly in form of a product or service, as we mentioned earlier. And people think that starting a business is easy. Okay, so I'm here to tell you that starting a business is not easy, but it is simple. Okay, so starting a business is simple because all you really have to do is start. Diba? It's not a mind-blowing secret, but you really just have to start for you to get the ball rolling. And if you never take the first step, then it's very unlikely for you to really see that business through. So ideas are worth nothing. I'm saying that because if you have a great idea and then someone else implemented it, you can't go after that person for stealing your idea, diba? Because ideas aren't really unique anymore. We are inspired by so many things, so many types of media and in the internet, and they would always say that no idea is original anymore. It's just up to you how you're gonna make it unique and how you're gonna create that idea into a business. So okay. So when you have those idea, what should you do? You should pin those idea. For me, my mode of pinning is I really like Pinterest, but as you can see, those are all my businesses. So they started in a Pinterest board, but you can also, jot them down in a notepad, write them in a journal or notebook. You can, maybe you're very visual and you want to cut out pictures or print out pictures and do like a vision board. You can also pin them in cork boards, like physically pin them. So it's really up to you. The important thing about pinning ideas is you never know which idea is that quote unquote $1 million idea, diba? Meaning that's the business that will really prosper. So always, I really have a lot of ideas that come to mind, and not every one of them is great, but I make sure to always write them down so that I can revisit them. Okay. So next is number two, that's business development. This is when you research, learn, and plan. So having an idea, as I mentioned before, is not enough. You have to take action. So this is where we research, learn, and plan. Research for your product development. So look at how you can produce this, how you can improve it, and then learn by identifying your target market. So identifying your target market is very important because it will actually dictate the rest of your business plan. Like, who are you talking to? What demographics in terms of age, in terms of gender, in terms of social class. So it's very important to first identify a niche market and then grow out from there. Okay, and then lastly, plan by setting goals. Set realistic and long term goals, both short term and long term goals that you want to achieve for your business. And the thing with setting goals with your business is that when you hit the first goal, you then immediately make other goals bigger than that. So you're always and continuously growing. You're not just stagnating as a business. So, okay, number three is to sell your idea. So, if you've already researched your idea, you've checked out your competitors, you have an idea already who your target market is and what your initial goals are. Maybe your goal is monetary or your goal is to sell an X amount of products. Next is to sell your idea. And I don't mean, make a brick and mortar and, buy all these equipments and furniture and stuff like that and start selling your products. Selling your idea is selling the what if. Talk to people who might be able to help you with your idea and give you inputs on how you can improve them. So, for example, like me in our business, this is our selling our idea. This is our what if. We simply posted a poster, very simple, with our logo, our location, and when we're planning to open our very first event or bazaar. So this was our what if. We posted it on our Facebook page and Instagram, and we kind of tested out the waters. We talked to some online sellers that we talked to some online sellers that would possibly be part of our bazaar. We heard them like, what do you prefer having in a bazaar? Like, what are you looking for? Is this good? Is this bad? Things like that. And eventually, we heard their constructive criticisms, applied some of them, and then that was our very first event back in 2015, 5 years ago actually. Okay, so selling your idea also. Sorry, let's go back. Selling your idea also, like I mentioned, it's the what if, right? So, for example, you're a product selling bags. You don't really have to mass produce your product, like make 100, 500 of them, because that also entails a lot of capital. The great thing about social media is that it allows us to sell items by just having a good prototype. So prototyping is very good, and then you take photos, you get good videos of your prototype, you show them the ins and outs of your product, and then you sell it online. And then when you have buyers, you can ask 50% down payment, and then when the product is ready for shipping, you can ask the other 50% balance. So that is one way where you can really start a business without much capital and without much inventory, because I know that a lot of people want to start a business but they don't necessarily have the capital for it. So this is actually a really great tool. Social media is a really great tool for that. Okay. So number four, branding is key. Okay. So branding is more than just your logo. People think, branding, that's just logo. But no, it's also your marketing, your design, your strategy for your brand, your advertising, and your identity. So, for example, you're a business that is selling sustainable products on Instagram, 'di ba? And when you ship your product, or when you deliver your product, for example, there's sustainable toothbrush, the utensils, tumbler, but then you package them in plastic, 'di ba? it's very off brand, and people will think na ah they're just selling this product because it's, you know, uso right now, it's the hype. They don't really believe in sustainability, they don't really believe in going green, and you kind of lose your audience in that way, because being in line, everything you do should be in line with your branding. It really resonates with your target audience and your target market. That's why I think branding is very important, especially that in the age of social media, again, everything is everything is driven by perception. We see things first before we touch, feel, and taste and everything else. About all the other senses, the sight is usually first. Okay, so here's an example. I have here 2 cups of coffee. So we have here one coffee in a styrofoam cup and one coffee in this really nice paper cup that says coffee is like a hug in a mug. Diba? If you guys were to choose, which coffee would you buy? So let's just say both are at 150 pesos. So yeah, so both are at 150 pesos. A lot of people would actually choose the a lot of people would actually choose the second one, right? In the black paper cup, because it looks good. It's appealing to our senses, to our sense of sight. So what if I told you that even if both cost 150 pesos, this one is drip coffee. As we know, drip coffee is high quality coffee. It takes a long time to make. And this is 3-in-1 coffee. And I'm not telling you guys to mislead your market and your audience or your customers. What I'm telling you is that, for example, you're a coffee shop owner who's selling drip coffee, but you decide to, you know, save money on the packaging, so you just bought an expensive cup. You don't really mind about the branding anymore. But on the other hand, a 3-in-1 coffee that is disguised in this really nice mug, really nice coffee cup is more sellable to people. So this is just a basic example of how branding and perception can really play a major role in your business. Again, I'm not telling you guys to fool your customers, because the tendency is they're not gonna buy anymore from you, diba? Okay. So next, other than branding, finances is also really important. You have to plan out your finances. I'm not gonna dive too deep into this because we have online tools that we can use, but basically make sure you're not in the business of losing money. Diba? Unless you're a charity, maybe then you're just giving away money. But other than that, we're all in the business of earning. Diba? We create a business because we want to earn from a business. There are a lot of tools. Here's some examples of really simple tools you can use that's free from Google Sheets. So just keep track of your budget. And here's some tips that you can use for that. Here are some basic business finance practices. First is take everything into account. So the tendency for especially home businesses is they don't tend to count their other utilities like their Wi-Fi when they're taking orders, when they're calling, their load when they're calling their riders, the electricity they use. For example, you're selling cookies, the electricity you use for your oven, the lights in the kitchen being on the whole time. These are some things that slip our mind and we don't necessarily compute when we price our products and services. So always take those things into account because we don't want to be losing money when we're supposed to be earning them. Okay, next is don't take everything into account. Okay, so it sounds similar to the first one. It sounds contradicting to the first one. But what I'm trying to say here is when you have money in your business, don't take everything into your personal account and spend them. Diba? You always want your business to grow. So let your money revolve. when you're earning already in your business, in your small side hustle, don't, assume that that's your personal money. Always think that's the business's money, and you want the business to grow. That's why you're putting money back into the business. Okay, this is a very simple mistake that a lot of new business owners do, that they always spend their business's money on personal things. Okay, so what you can do for that is maybe take a small portion and treat it as like your salary for your business, and then leave everything for the business to grow. And then lastly, have an emergency fund. Have 3 to 6 months that just in case your business goes slow, you still have money to, for example, you already have employees, or you have one staff. You're giving your sister or your younger brother, your younger sister money to help you in the kitchen. So make sure that even if there are slower months, you can still give them their salary, and yeah, have an emergency fund to pay for utilities, for rent, for all of these things that you incur already as a business owner. Okay, last but not the least is number six, continuity. Continuity basically is don't lose their attention. If you have tried making a business in the Cebu market, or you're familiar with the Cebuano market, we have this saying that pulanon kaayo ta. That means we get tired of things easily. And that's true in any market, diba? If we don't try to spark their attention, we don't try to uh, um, make them interested in our products and services, because we don't um sorry because we don't innovate, then that's going to be a problem in the long run. So take for example a big huge company like Coca-Cola that started in the 1800s. As you can see, they continually tried to improve their logo. They continually tried to improve their very iconic Coca-Cola bottle. 'Di ba? As a big company that's been operating for more than 100 years is still innovating until today. So should we as small businesses. Okay, so to summarize, when you have your idea, you then develop that idea. This is really like the bulk of the starting your business. This is really research. And then you try to sell that idea, or you can start selling a product if it's sustainable for you and feasible for you. And then you brand your business. Always make sure that everything you do is intentional and in line with your branding, and then handle your finances well, because the finances is really one of the things that businesses often fail, because they fail to handle their finances well. Okay, and then lastly, continue to grow, to innovate, and to sustain your business. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you with, if you already have so many ideas running through your mind right now of what businesses to start, and you're excited, here are some things of how, sorry, here are some tips or how you can register your business. Basically, you will be dealing with three agencies. That's name registration, business permits, and tax compliance. So I'm not gonna dive too deep into this. I have videos about this in my YouTube channel. But basically, name registration, that's through DTI or SEC. It depends if you're sole proprietor or corporation, and that's basically just reserving the name of your business, but you still have to register it in the barangay or mayor's office for your business permit. That's your that's your permit to operate. And lastly, you have to have BIR certificate for you to comply with the taxes. So no one is exempted from this. Online businesses, small businesses, we all have to register our businesses. Okay, even if you're a freelancer. And yeah, that's basically the main agencies that you have to deal with when registering your business. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can find me at Ready to Adult PH over all my socials. That's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You I will also be back later for a Q&A. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your tips for starting a business, Charm. That was wonderful. I particularly love the pin ideas na part. That's very creative, no? How you pin your inspirations onto a Pinterest board. I
Yeah.
think it's very helpful.
Especially if you're very visual, you're a very
Yeah.
visual person like me. So,
Yeah, that's really cool. And also, like, it also stood out to me the finances part where you take everything into account. Because it's true. That's really the tendencies of home based businesses or
yeah.
yeah businesses like those. Anyway, thank you again for that, Charm, and we will see you again in a while. We will keep the ball rolling and invite in our next speaker. All right, so our next speaker is not only a leader, but also a trainer and wonderful motivator. Everyone, let us welcome Mr. Aaron Q. Good afternoon, Aaron.
Hi, good
Hello.
afternoon, Lenley. How are you? Bulawanong
Yes,
hapon.
I'm very good. I hope you're doing well also. And we won't
Yes.
hold you for long because we are very excited to listen to your talk now. Okay, so take it away, Aaron.
Bulawanong hapon. My name is Aaron Q, and I'm the Executive Vice President of Golden Prince Hotel. I would like to take this opportunity to thank ASEC Asteria Caberte and ARD Nanette Arbon of the Department of Trade and Industry, and to the hardworking team, the dynamic DTI Region 7 team, for organizing this YEP Summit, or the Young Entrepreneurship Program, Developing Your Business Model. So we at Golden Prince are part of the tourism and hospitality industry that has been devastated during this COVID-19 pandemic. What we're going to talk about today is how we have adapted during this new normal. Before we begin, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our history. First, Golden Prince Hotel actually opened in 2006. Then we expanded in 2016. As you can see in the picture, there are two towers. The first tower, which is this one on the left, first opened with 57 rooms in 2006 and later expanded to well over 160 guest rooms in 2016, with 4 food and beverage outlets and 8 function spaces. And as you can see in this small map, we are located at Acacia Street corner, Archbishop Reyes Avenue. We are located at the heart of Cebu Business Park. Our first venture in the hospitality industry began with our sister company known as Golden Valley Hotel. As you can see in the pictures, we recently celebrated our 25th anniversary. These are throwback pictures, by the way, of our 2019 celebration, because Golden Valley first began in 1994. So our sister company has been part of the hospitality industry for at least a quarter century already. And many of our staff that are shown in the picture have been with us ever since the beginning of time. A lot of these loyal hoteliers have been part of our journey during this tough period, and all of us are fighting hard together as we face the new normal. So when DTI asked us to be part of this YEP summit, we were asked to talk about the business model. But surely, because of the global pandemic that we have just experienced in the past 6 to 7 months, I'd like to reference something from Josiah Go. It talks about the 11 blocks of the business model map. So as you can see here, how have we allocated our resources? How have we changed our processes to become more efficient as a hotel, more efficient as a company? Has our value proposition changed ever? Are we communicating to our target market using the same channels? How have we bonded with the different customers? Has our revenue model actually shifted? What are the cost structures now? These are so many questions that are going through the minds of all the different business persons, all the different entrepreneurs, especially those of you that are looking at this video right now. How actually have we reconfigured or repositioned our businesses to fit into the new normal? These are some of the questions that we'll be answering today from the perspective of Golden Prince Hotel. So we're going to go through with you our journey towards the new normal. Now, in each of these slides, we're going to run through what we have done from February, March, all the way till the present. And these are a lot of changes that you would probably notice as we enter the new normal. To start off, at the beginning of the year, around March 6 of 2020, we had a number of holy masses and prayers. During that time, if you could remember, there have been a lot of talks already about COVID-19 affecting different parts of Asia, especially our neighbors around the ASEAN, especially the areas that are full of tourists. So there have been these fears that have been affecting different stakeholders in the industry. What we did to start off, we coordinated directly with the Department of Tourism and invited also someone from the Department of Health, as you could see in the right side. This started off our company-wide awareness campaigns. So there were speakers that were from DOH that were telling us what is COVID-19 all about, how is this disease affecting the human body. And a lot of our employees were very curious. They asked a lot of questions. This wasn't all about giving them fear. It's actually to educate them on what the disease is all about. So we've had these town hall sessions. This was around March 9 of 2020. So this was pre-quarantine period, if you remember the timeline. So a lot of us were still gathering. We're doing all these company-wide awareness campaigns, and we're just trying to educate all our employees about what is happening externally. On the 17th of March, we had another town hall because the situation, as the days go by, have started to become worse. Cases started to increase already. On that day, after the town hall, we announced to our employees that the situation in the industry will surely be very different. So we had what is called a pre-quarantine send-off. What happened in the send-off was we had to give them all these kits. So we had a company-wide distribution of safety kits, which included some vitamins. It included also some alcohol, the mask, all the basic necessities for them to be equipped as they move along to all their different provinces. A lot of our employees were from different parts of Cebu province, all the way up to the north area, and some down in the south. Some of which were also living around the city. So these are some of the best practices that we are sharing in these next few slides as well. One of the messages that we have been giving our employees during that period was we needed them to look into agriculture. Some of them live up in the mountains. Some of them live very near the seas. The person that you are seeing on screen is actually one of our tenured employees. His name is Roldan Gedokyo. This is the story of Mang Roldan. He's been with our company for well over 20 years, nearly 25 years. He is pictured here in a beautiful farm. This is somewhere up in Negros, and with some little piggies here with him. He was grateful to be receiving a grant from the company to explore agripreneurship, because during this tough period of a pandemic, rather than let the employees wait for something to happen, they have to get into this type of livelihood. So this formed part of our CSR, our corporate social responsibility, to give someone like Roldan the opportunity to explore something like this. During that period as well, we had a series of online talks and webinars, one of which was run by Mr. Ray Kaluoy. He is a champion in entrepreneurship. He's also recognized in the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and the Department of Trade and Industry. And he was one of those who actually conducted a webinar on alternative livelihood farming and gardening. On the right, we invited Dr. Anna Watin, because mental health was something that was really affecting different individuals during the quarantine period. So she was sharing with us that it is actually more important than physical health. The purpose of these online talks and webinars is to equip our employees through knowledge support. We also had a lot of virtual kumustahan sessions. Of course, during the quarantine period, it was very difficult to meet in person. So we conducted virtual kumustahans almost every day. So these are the different pictures of our employees from all over. We sometimes met them in groups of 20s, sometimes in groups of 10s, or in smaller groups of 5s. The purpose of these kumustahans is just to get a better idea of how are they doing during the pandemic and how can we assist them much better, because each of their families have different situations. Some are single, some have kids that are just growing up, some have newly born children. So it is a very vast population of employees with very different needs. Our human resource department, together with our team at the executive office, have been working very closely to talk to the employees through virtual kumustahans. This is something that is very important to us. We place training right at the heart of our culture. Trainings for our in-house hospitality heroes. Of course, you have people from the housekeeping department, people from the kitchen, people from the front office. We had to reskill them through different mini trainings. So basically what we did is all the different aspects of the hotel operation, we had to fine-tune them so they get to feel and see the different parts of operations, so they themselves become more complete as hoteliers and industry stakeholders. So we've done a lot of cross trainings, we've done a lot of multitasking mindset, because we feel multitasking is very important, especially during the pandemic, because it makes your workforce more productive. Your efficiency also increases, and as a person, you become more effective because you have more skills, you have more knowledge, and you become more versatile and complete. This was the tagline that we have been pushing from the very beginning. Your safety is gold. It began with something known as your safety is our priority. But what is more valuable than gold, right? So by putting a premium on the safety of our clients, on the safety of our employees, then we are doing something to send a message by committing to the safety and security of all of them, because we feel that this is the only way in moving forward in order for tourism to become more open we have to protect their health as they come into our hotel, as they come into our property. So these are some of the hashtags that that have been part of our messaging. Hashtag Golden Moments, hashtag Golden Prince Cares, and hashtag Spread the Love. So as part of the Golden Prince Cares campaign, as you can see, the shirt that I'm wearing is something like this. It's a sporty type of attire. This is our transitionary attire during this new normal. Why? We want to remind every single customer or visitor that comes into our property the importance of safety protocols. So all these health and safety protocols that are given by the Department of Tourism, the Department of Health, have become part of us. We are actually walking the talk by wearing this shirt. So every employee, as you can see, is wearing a face mask. They're wearing a shield, a face shield that says your safety is gold. And the shirt actually has a reminder to stay at home as much as possible. If they don't need to go out, then they must stop the spread by staying at home. They must continue to wear masks and face shields. Pangtabon, palayo is all about social distancing. Panghugas is they have to wash their hands. Panglimpyo, they have to sanitize. They have to disinfect every single time. They have to use alcohol if need be. For us, this is the only way to move forward as a company, as an industry, as a whole, as an economy. This is how we heal as one, through all these reminders. So all our LEDs are showing these safety reminders at all times. So I'd like to run through a little bit of entry protocols. We have actually heavily invested in automated thermal scanning technology, as you could see. So with this device, it scans the facials. It checks if you're wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. It shows the temperature and time that you have clocked in. So these are some of the tools and technologies that we have adopted for the new normal so that you as visitors would feel safer. Keep Safe is actually a hybrid mobile application that we have utilized for contact tracing purposes. So we actually proudly advocating for a locally developed contact tracing app, and this is Keep Safe. You could actually scan this QR code if you'd like and try to explore it. Once you enter our premises, you feel much safer, and it is actually guided by the strictest data privacy as well. So this is something we're proud about because it's continuing to be developed. So these are some of our social distancing reminders. We have signages everywhere. We have actually installed also touch-free sanitizers in our elevators. This is located inside the elevator and also different parts of the public spaces. This is a quick look of our rooms. Every stay that all our visitors go through, we call that a self-care stay because it is very important to be taking care of yourself during this trying time. And work from hotel has become a trend because people who have been checking in Golden Prince Hotel these days are here to do business, to get some productive work done, because we actually have a very highly reliable internet connection for all your Zoom meetings, for all your calls, etc., etc. These are our housekeeping and hands cleaning standards. You would be shocked to see that a lot of our housekeeping are wearing these PPEs. The purpose of this is to protect them and also to protect the customers from all these touch points. So they sanitize it as often as possible, and we have a scheduled cleaning in the rooms. So Normally, if you're staying for a month or a week, we normally check the rooms twice a week. So at least the contact between the client and the housekeepers are minimized as much as possible. So we are also proud to have on board our chefs who have been with us for well over 20 years. So this is their kitchen preparation. Chef Jerry and Chef Milo have been with us from the very beginning, ever since Golden Valley Hotel, which is our sister company. And as you can see, the kitchen is also transitioning towards automating the ordering system. This is them testing out the new ordering system. So at least they have adapted to the times. So what you are witnessing here is actually dining in the new normal. What do we mean by hybrid ordering system? What that means is, as a guest, you come into the restaurant. This is actually just a simulation. They scan the QR code. The menu comes out on the phone. They get to pick what are the items they would like from the menu. The order taker or the food and beverage associate will assist you and take your order down and eventually deliver the item to your table. So hybrid means there is minimal interaction, but there has to be some form of face-to-face, because we feel that that's still part of our customer service, right? So these are some of the new offerings that the hotel is providing during the new normal. We call this Pamahaw Tibok Adlaw, with the assistance of our heritage ambassador, Madam Luella Alex. We have also adapted to the times. We developed a site known as food2go.goldenprincehotel.com. You could actually scan that QR code here. Some of our menu items that have been popular over the years are up on that site, and just at a few clicks, you could already satisfy all your food cravings. Food deliveries, all the payments are done digitally through the gateways, and these are the different payment options. So these are some of our function rooms. A lot of you are asking, how are events conducted now in a new normal? So we have a campaign known as Regroup, Reconnect, Reunite, because as the economy is slowly opening up, of course, you have to regroup with different colleagues. You have to reconnect with different peers in your network. You also have to reunite with different relatives and family members that you haven't seen in a long time. Through what? Through pocket events, all the different virtual trainings, and intimate gatherings. And as you could see in the right hand corner, safety is gold. Your safety is gold. So before you enter, there is some form of inspection and cleaning, and right after the function is done, all the disinfection processes are conducted. This is a newly set up assisted buffet service for all the events and functions. As you can see, there's a protective glass, there's a protective shield between the food and beverage personnel and you, the guest. So there is no contact between you and the personnel and also the food. So we are able to provide you a filling buffet experience still through this process. And all the wares, as you could see, is kept in a warmer, so you will feel safe while eating through our events and functions. This is our wholehearted community support and donation drives. Throughout the past 6 to 7 months, we have been donating PPEs to different LGUs, different government agencies. We have been donating and distributing packed goods, sacks of rice as well. And you saw earlier that we have given a few safety kits to our employees because we feel all our modern day heroes deserve this. All the frontliners deserve this. These are some of the hospitals that we have donated to as well. So all these pictures will summarize that we are part of the Cebuano community. In these pictures, you can see that we have distributed quite a number of packed goods all the way to the northern part of Cebu, to the southern part of Cebu province. All the employees live in different areas, so we have to reach out to them. This is the only human contact that we have, so we sent a small team there to kumusta them and to also provide them some goodies, just to give them a bit of hope. On this note, I'd like to give you just a small reminder or a small quote that in order for us to heal and recover as one, we must also work as one. This has been my presentation for today. I am Aaron Q of Golden Prince Hotel. Daghang salamat for your time and have a golden day, everyone.
What a wonderful story, Aaron. Thank you very much for sharing those. And I was really amazed at how the company acted on different ways to help your employees. And I chatted a while ago, the device thing for the entrance protocols where it will scan the face of the person. I saw this post on Facebook a few days ago, and then it was in Malaysia, and my reaction was like, wow, sana all. I hope there was something like this in the Philippines. I didn't know Golden Prince was already using something like that. So that's very innovative. And again, maraming salamat po, Aaron. All right, I will talk to you later during our sofa chat. And last but definitely not the least, we have Jan Rodriguez, who will also be sharing his business model story. Hello, Jan. Kamusta?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I am good also. We are very excited to hear your talk today. So go ahead and take the screen.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to once again be a part of the Young Entrepreneurship Program this year. The pandemic presented a very unique opportunity for everyone, creating a vast network of new online entrepreneurs that also grew an online customer base specifically for food. To make the quarantine more interesting, I decided to include a hands-on learning project as part of the high school curriculum for my sons. The project was to launch a concept that I've had on the shelf for about 4 years now, to brand the idea, to launch it, to sell it, and make it sustainable. The food concept we chose, one of which is beloved by the family, is a Mexican concept serving tacos and naked burritos, all made from scratch. So I presented them with 4 challenges. Number 1, branding. The name had to be simple. It must be easy to say and easy to remember, and immediately recognizable for the cuisine of the product. A Mexican dish made in Cebu for the Cebuanos should be represented by both. The Bisaya word choya is used as a descriptive expression on anything that's cool or good looking. So the expression choya oy is in itself funny and quite memorable. So we decided to use that, and by replacing the CH with the TX, creating a new word that spells TXOYA, gives it the Oaxacan flavor with the Visayan humor, combining both cultures, making one memorable taco brand. Number 2, experience. As a chef, my experience in the kitchen allowed me to recreate classic dishes with a modern approach to achieve a more memorable flavor profile. I've also simplified the process using techniques I've learned over the years, which allowed my kids to prepare the dishes themselves. Besides that, we make our own condiments, such as using the process of fermentation to complement the proteins with bursting flavors. So, all that made our simple tacos stand out from the rest and created a lasting flavor impression. Number three, marketing. People don't read anymore. We just love to keep on scrolling down and scrolling down. An image should catch one's attention, and in the case of food, make the viewer salivate and process the flavor and texture in their heads as they take that virtual bite. A concise description with a witty call to action should seal the deal. Being a virtual business, you need to find a space online to sell your products. Post in as many groups as possible, then focus on the group that gives you more leads. Remember that the number of people in the group does not translate to sale. It's the quality of people in the group that does. The same group with the quality amount of members tend to have the most early adapters. They're there for a reason, and that reason is to find something exciting they can try for the first time. Not only are they willing to try a new product, but are willing to spend again and again. And these are the same people that would market the product for you by word of mouth. Once you've captured that market, it's of utmost importance that they see a page that represents your product. This is where your social media presence comes in. This is where they will see the entirety of your concept, how the colors make them feel, how the product is presented, and the tone of voice of your copy all translates to creating a strong brand identity that strikes your potential customer at the visceral and emotional level. Number four is value. Value is a result of communicating your product in a meaningful way. Value is why a customer would purchase your product over others. Value is what differentiates you. It's what makes you unique. Our value proposition is serving tacos and naked burritos using the best ingredients possible and preparing them with care and attention with the intention to delight and surprise, yet keeping the price points affordable, which makes Choya tacos available to a wider demographic. We also communicate with our customers with a personal touch, making sure we gather feedback and addressing concerns immediately. This allows us to learn more about our customer and improve on our product further if need be. Adding freebies to the first 100 or so orders will only make it easier for your customers to write a positive review on your social media pages. That would help a lot. So since April this year, we were able to launch 4 concepts, 3 of which were all done from home, starting with soya tacos, followed by bowl of soul in May, meat and marrow in June, and burger in September. I hope that I've shared with you some meaningful and helpful insight. I'm here to take questions from anyone or through email at any time. Thank you.
What a very powerful story that was, Jan. Hello, Sir Jan. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for sharing that talk. And it's very nice to know, no, that your ideas that have been in the shelf for like years now, you actually got to work on it during this time. That's
Right.
very inspiring.
Yeah, so these concepts we came up with 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
the pandemic just gave us an opportunity to spend time at home and actually think about it in a business perspective. And it was a very good time for the kids to join the
Yeah.
process from the concept to actually selling the product.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sure that our youth audience watching your talk got very inspired. So you guys, if you have ideas that have been in the shelf for a while now, maybe it's the time. All right.
It
So ang
certainly
dami
is.
talaga. Yeah. Thank you, Sir Jan. And ang
Thank you
dami
also.
talaga nating napupulot from our speakers this afternoon. This has been super educational and inspiring. I hope everyone took down notes and are inspired to apply the learnings today to your own businesses. So now we will go ahead and bring back all our speakers para sa ating sofa chat, where we will try to be candid with our speakers and syempre, squeeze more tricks of the trade from them. All right? Where are our speakers? I'm excited to throw our questions to you today. So, hi again, Charm, Aaron, and Jan. I am glad to have you back. And we will now make use of this time to ask them more about their talks earlier and, of course, on how we can further develop our business models. So, guys, to all of you who are watching, type in your questions below in our comment section so that we can choose questions and discuss it with our speakers. All right. So I will start with Aaron. I have a question for Aaron. So, sir, the pandemic came as a surprise to all of us, right? And it was a huge blow
Correct.
to many businesses. For Golden Prince, for your business, how did you prepare for all the changes that you had to make? And how did that transition go?
Thank you for the question, Lenley. We believe the most important part of the preparation process, no, is communication. Communication with who? Number one is very close coordination with our government agencies, the Department of Tourism, Department of Health, and the local LGUs such as Cebu City. Once you get more information and guidelines from these government units, you also have to get in touch with your close peers in industry. So in our case, the Hotel Restaurant Association of Cebu and also the Cebu Chamber of Commerce. So there's a lot of dialogue happening
Wow.
at this level. From there, you have to reiterate that to all the employees and stakeholders. So we had to communicate a lot to our team members. You saw some of the
Mm,
presentations I did earlier, kumustahan sessions,
yeah.
calling them, chatting them via messenger. Same thing goes with our customers and the other stakeholders in the community as well. So that's how we prepared for the pandemic.
That's true. Communication is very crucial at this time. Thank you for that, Aaron. All right, so I
Thank
have
you,
a
Lenny.
question for Charm. Also, Charm, you mentioned prototyping in your talk. So, how do you know how to make a prototype for your idea in such a way that it's actually effective for you to validate it with other people? How do you start with a prototype?
Yeah, I feel like prototyping in itself is a process. Like I know it sounds like it's the first, it's the first product you made and then you're gonna sell that. So prototyping itself, you're already ideally asking people for feedback and constructive criticism so that you can come up with a product that you can confidently put out to the
Yeah.
public. So when I said like taking photos, taking good product shots of prototypes. So you're basically your first goal would be perfecting one prototype or
Mhm.
close to perfecting one prototype, and from there you can get orders. So whether it be products like I cited, like bags or
Yeah.
let's say a phone case or food as well, diba? You can then confidently put out your products by not really necessarily producing a large quantity of a product, especially if you don't have the capital to store
Yeah.
a lot of inventory. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very helpful tip to our young entrepreneurs, especially those who have limited capital. So thank you for sharing that, Charm. So I also have another question for Dan. So you mentioned
Sure,
in
fire.
that one of the things that entrepreneurs have to think of is to find the right market to jumpstart your concept. So may I ask how this looked like for you when you were planning for Choya?
Okay, so during the quarantine, there's no other way to communicate with people except for Facebook, mainly on Instagram. So everybody knows already that there's a lot of Facebook groups out there, food communities, and so on. So you post your product to as many platforms, I mean, many groups or pages that you can. And you observe which pages has the most interaction. Now,
Mm.
what we found out was that the pages with the most number of people are the pages with the least interaction, if not zero interactions. And
Mm.
the people with the lesser one, I would label them as the more curated groups. With
Yeah.
more curated products are the groups with you could we label them as the early adapters. So these
Yeah.
are the more adventurous people who you post a good looking product online. Hey, the taco looks really good. Let's try it. And
Yeah.
they purchase the taco, they eat it, and then they rave about it. Then you reach out again and ask for feedback and ask for them to probably write a review if they feel like it. And then you
Yeah.
get to populate your Facebook page with reviews from people who are the more adventurous type. So when the product is good, it flows by word of mouth, and the people who are spoken to about these products will go to your page and look at the photos of your products and most probably the reviews. So
Yeah.
and the group with the most interactions are is the group with the most real foodies, the
Wow.
the people who tend to spend more and spend again and again. So it's something that we should look out for. But then again, you should post to as many pages as you can.
True. True. Really leveraging social media, no, especially now that more people have been hanging out in social media channels.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And to prevent them from the bottomless scroll, you have to have a really nice looking picture to
Yeah.
stop them in their tracks and
Yeah.
make them click a send message. Yeah,
Yeah. They call it thumb stopping.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, Jan. So we have a
You're
question
welcome.
from our audience. Riam Celoria. I think this is for all the speakers, so feel free to pitch in your insights. So he asked, "Hello, planning to start a sales process consultation agency, and I'm wondering as to where in my timeline should I start registering my business? Because I've heard advice that it's better to get a client first, then register. What are your thoughts?" Thanks. Who wants to share their input on
Ladies, ladies
this?
first.
Yeah.
Go, Term.
Okay, so yeah, I'll go first. That's actually great, no? That they're even thinking about registering because a lot of people this just goes right by them. So that's a great initiative to begin with. So for me personally, if you're not really conducting business just yet, meaning if you don't even have a client just yet, there's I agree with it's kind of a gray line, but you don't really have to just yet because the reason why you also have to register, you have to comply with all these permits and especially issuing a receipt is when you already have transactions going on.
Mm.
So yeah, I completely agree. Online businesses should also do that. Just one thing though, I noticed like a lot of people pre-register to DTI and they don't really think about the business permit and BIR anymore. And the tendency is when they actually realize that they need to register for business permits and BIR, they get slapped with fees because the agencies are under the idea that oh you already have a DTI for a year now that means you've already been operating your business, right?
Yeah.
So why haven't you done the rest of the steps? Because people think it stops at DTI. So that's why I reiterated earlier in my talk the three agencies that you have to deal with when registering your business. So yeah, don't get slapped with the penalty and late fees.
Yeah. And I believe, Charm, you mentioned no, that you elaborated on these processes on your YouTube channel. Was that is
Yeah.
that right? Nice.
Yeah, it's up there on Reddit.ph if you guys want to. It was kind of like a really in depth video when it comes to registering your business. So I think 1 month there's a 1 month period where you don't get charged a penalty, but after that,
Mm.
yeah, so it gets more expensive that way.
Yeah. All right, thanks for the tip, Charm. How about you, Aaron and Dan? You guys have additional input?
Aaron, would you like to go ahead?
Well, usually before you get into business registration, you would have to have some form of concept or even the vision of your company. Normally, for companies like consultancy, you would have different groups of partners for sure, different experts. So you have to have roles amongst them. So you set up a board of directors, who's the president. So all of you become founders. That's generally the flow for something like this. Registration would have to come if you guys are sort of established in a way with your partners and you guys are clear in where you want to go. So I guess that's my tip.
Thanks, Aaron. Dan, you have input?
Yeah. So we have viewpoints from both spectrums of a bigger business and a starting business. So I kind of fall in between, but with the concept that I put up over the quarantine is closer to Charms. Um, that Charms brought up a very valid point about the permits. No? So if you go through the government website, it's almost impossible to find how to start a business and registering an actual business permit for any online business. One of the requirements for those business permits is lease of contract, and or if you own the building, documentation for the building. Um, Online sellers don't have that. We don't have any physical stores, so it's a challenge that the local government should address because the quarantine has sprouted so many online business people, and many of these concepts are thriving, and which is good for Cebu. And the problem is these are all done from home, so there should be that concept should be addressed by the government if they want to tax those businesses, or better yet, to legitimize those businesses, makes it easier for everybody.
Yeah.
I wanna add to that, Langlan, if I can.
Sure.
I actually have a business also that's registered from home. So, yeah, I think as long as you kind of have like a permanent residence, if you're renting, if you can get a 6 months to 1 year lease, and if you own the house, I think you need to show the real estate property tax. But yeah, I think that's because a lot. I hear this question also with a lot of freelancers.
Yes.
On the online businesses
Yeah.
and home grown food businesses, so you can actually do that as well. But I've also had to deal with a lot of people who does not have a lease on the place they're renting, which that alone is quite alarming because the landlord could just kick you out anytime, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of gray area good when it comes to that.
Yeah. Thank you for your tips, speakers. I hope, Rian, that those inputs answer your question. All right, I'll proceed to the next question. It's for Sir Aaron. K Valerie Cinco. Hello, Sir Aaron. Quick question. We all know that the tourism and hotel industry is greatly affected by the pandemic. Aside from following the protocol to keep everyone safe, how will you address any employment challenges that the industry or company is currently facing?
Thank you for the question, Lenley. Number one, your active workforce that you have now, you have to make them a little bit more productive. So during the presentation, I mentioned a lot about mini trainings, all the different reskilling programs. So you have someone from front office who is not used to being in other departments. So you try to upskill them and
Yeah.
you support them with a lot of knowledge support. I've talked about knowledge support. So we had quite a number of talks, both externally and also internally, just to give the employees a lot more ideas in moving forward. For those employees who are currently outside of Cebu City, we've mentioned that we've provided some agricultural grants, just to support some of their causes.
Yeah.
One of the most popular slides that I saw there was one from Roldan Gedokyo. He's
Yes.
been with us for well over 20 years. We gave him an aggregate because he has a small farm where he has small pigs and other types of crops as well. So he's well on the way because we believe agriculture is kind of the way to go in this pandemic as we approach a recession. So that's something that's
Definitely.
recession proof, and it's
Right.
something we should really plan for.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I particularly I'm very thankful at the upskilling part that the companies are doing for their employees. Kaya it's not only to the advantage of the company but especially to the persons themselves, the employees themselves. So thank you very much for that, Sir Aaron. We have also another question for Sir Jan from Marion Bacalso. He says, "Hello, Sir Jan. Were there any challenges in the sourcing of your raw materials for the different food products that you are creating? Also, do you see an increase in the demand for local agri products?"
Yeah, very good question. As Aaron mentioned earlier, the agriculture is a very significant part of the growth of Cebu City, and we are lucky that I think several farms have already done their ISO prior to the pandemic. We are badly in need of quality and locally sourced products, and we were
Mhm.
lucky to have some of them. To address the question, the local produce that they use, they're all based in Cebu, and we were able to use these products for several of our concepts, so they are readily available.
Nice. That's very great. Thank you, Sir Jan. All right, I have another question for Charmaine from Hannah Dayan Benko. She asks, is eco-friendly packaging more marketable?
Yeah, when I cited that example, no, I wasn't necessarily telling you guys that eco-friendly products are marketable, but I was telling you guys that it is in line with the business because the business is, going green and sustainability. And yeah, that's why it doesn't really make sense for that particular brand to use plastic. But at the same time, we have a lot of um, restrictions already when it comes to using single-use plastic, especially in Cebu and Mandaue. So if you're already committed to as single packaging for the rest of your business, and you have days like I think if I remember correctly, Wednesdays and Saturdays are
Hmm.
we're discouraged to use single-use plastic, especially in groceries and shopping malls. So you can also follow that if you want. So I think in a way it attracts a certain demographic. Admittedly, in the Philippines, not as much just yet. But if you're thinking ahead and you care about the environment, then definitely I feel like there is a big impact when you choose biodegradable packaging. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Charm. I hope that answers your question, Hannah. Okay, we have another question. This is for everyone. From Anonymous. How does a small business recognize How is a small business recognized for using social media to grow the business? I will connect it to the next one lang. I think it's very relevant. How can social media optimization be used for businesses? So whoever wants to answer that.
Okay. Uh
Yeah.
okay, I'll go first. For me, I really believed in social media ever since I started my businesses back in 2015. So 5 years ago, Facebook boosting wasn't as popular as it is right now. So I
Yeah.
definitely think there is some to some extent, the Facebook ads boosting is a little bit crowded in that sense. You have to spend more to be able to really reach your target audience. So, I feel like one of the things that are really working right now also is micro influencer marketing. So these are, everyday people that just happens to be influential in their group of friends, right? So people who have 1 to 5,000 followers. I feel like because I look at my spending habits when I try to market any business. So me personally, I get influenced by my friends, by by people who doesn't necessarily have hundreds of thousands of followers, because I feel like
Yeah.
it's authentic, it's genuine, and they're not just paid to say these things.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's evolving so fast. Social media is evolving so fast. Like I also work in social media, like handling clients' social media accounts, and Gabi, you really have to keep up with what are the trends and
Yeah.
everything, diba? But generally, I think that every business should have social media. I think it's been very evident during the lockdown, even if you need a hardware or school supplies or
Yeah.
electrical supplies, diba? You go to
True.
Facebook, you go to Google to look for these things. So
True.
they're definitely a staple now when it comes to even traditional businesses, I think. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Charm. How
I
about you guys?
agree. Facebook boosting, depending on the product you're selling. As far as us on the food industry, again, I mentioned earlier about the quality of images to boost, and there's a psychology behind the kind of image that you post and how you boost it, and to what demographic and what radius in the city. So the more specific the ad is, the more efficient it would be. Like we just launched an ad for Ilapote 2 weeks ago,
Mm.
um, specifically for our one product we call sticky charsu belly, and we had the sales conversion on that at about 550%. So a very specific ad, and we only spent 400 pesos on that. So it's a matter of knowing how to target your ads to get a certain appreciation from the market that you're targeting it for. So again, it boils down to trial and error until you get it right, and
Yeah.
then you just keep the data and keep on going.
True. Data is very important.
Mhm.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jan.
definitely. You're welcome.
Era, do you have input on that?
Yes, I agree with what Charm and John said. For influencer marketing at Golden Prince Hotel, we've been working very closely with our heritage ambassador, si Ma'am Luella Alex, because she's very much connected with one of our brands, Pavilion Heritage Lounge. So she talks a lot about history. She talks about the origins of food. Every time she posts a product from our page, she normally gets a lot of inquiries. So these are one
Wow.
of the things that um, convert back. And
Yeah.
based on what Mr. John also mentioned, I do agree. The quality of the picture, um, it does say 1,000 words. If you
True.
post something like that, you send it or post it even on your stories. We do a lot of
Right.
stories campaigns internally with our employees and friends. People will start asking questions. Where'd you get this food, or where are you at the moment? Can I see you
Yeah.
at Kabilin? So those are some of the things that we've done along the way. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah. Sorry, Len. I wanna add
Um,
one thing
sure,
lang
sure,
from
sure.
what they said also. Like
Sure.
I mentioned earlier that it's really fast moving and changing so fast. So an
Yeah.
example would that be before, as you remember, we curate our Instagram feed so much, like to the point that it looks like an art book, or like a museum type of feed. But as you notice now, everybody's switching to wanting their feed to look more natural and organic, if that makes sense. So yeah, and there are gonna be a lot of trends more that are gonna
Yeah.
you might veer away from that again. So yeah, my 2 cents again on social
True. Yeah.
media.
You have to quickly adapt because the trends are
Yeah.
so quickly changing.
Think you can relate.
Thanks, Charm. Okay, another question for everyone. So whoever wants to share their inputs. From Anonymous, would you guys recommend getting into a partnership? Is it ideal during the creation of a prototype? Okay, these are a lot of follow-ups. Is it going to be stressful doing it online? And would it hinder growth when one wishes to experiment programs? So partnerships, what do you think?
Go ahead, Charm.
Go guys. Van or
Shall I
Aaron,
go?
Charm.
Well, I mentioned this is pretty much the age of collaboration right now. The
Mm.
important thing is to actually complement with mga different partners. They're strong in one thing, you're strong in another. So what you're witnessing during the pandemic is you're sort of filling up the different gaps. In one sense, you're improving your standards as a company. So
Mm.
some are hidden partnerships. They're not necessarily out there front and center. Some are done behind the scenes through trainings, through consultations, etc. It's all about bouncing ideas with different stakeholders in the industry. That's I think if you want to get into partnerships, you have to look for someone that can complement you somehow. I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, other additional inputs from our other speakers?
Well,
All right.
Andre, Aaron just mentioned the key aspect of partnerships is that it's bringing skill sets together to make the business successful. So that's basically the essence of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually agree also. One thing to add, I guess, is that if you don't have partners, if you don't have, collaborators, it's very hard to scale a business because it always has to be you working, right? Every little thing that, a problem arises, you have to solve it, you have to fix it. So if not direct business partners, having to train really good managers is also one because they're also partners in business technically, right? So yeah, I feel like I personally like partnering with a lot of different people. It depends on what I need.
Yeah.
But if you're someone and your product doesn't really need other people, then maybe you can um, build your product first. You can, focus on building your product first, and then maybe later on you need someone who can market it, who can sell it, and stuff like that. So we can't all be, Superman. So I
One
feel like
man.
yeah, one man show. So
Yeah.
that's very hard. So partnerships are very important. Yeah,
Awesome.
the
I
right
agree.
Okay.
Thank you
partnerships.
for yeah. Okay, thank you for your insights on that on partnerships. I hope that answered our question. Next, I have a question from Marian still for Sir Aaron. Hello, Sir Aaron. Thank you for your presentation. Do you see any increase in hiring of new personnel in the hotel industry for the next year?
All right. If you notice that we've entered the month of actually we're entering the month of November very soon. So
Yes.
this is we are supposed to be entering Christmas season, no? We're starting to see people gather together. We have something called regroup, reconnect, and reunite, where
Mm.
people who have been far apart for so long are starting to come together and come to the banquets and have these mini reunions. That being one of the most crucial parts of the hotel functions, we see that probably next year it will slowly pick up. There may be a recall of the different employees who have been on rest for some time already. So we are starting to see our baristas come back. Some of our
Mm.
waiters are slowly coming back because these events are slowly coming back into the fold. So
Mm.
yes, next year we are hopeful, fingers crossed. We just need to move forward, but we must continue to keep safe as a community, as a industry.
Yeah. Thank you, Sir Aaron, for answering that question. I also have another question addressed to Sir Jan from
Mhm.
Anonymous. What will you do when the customer gets bored from the product?
Oh, very good question. Um, so when you come up with the product, obviously the first step should be surprise already, right? So give or take 2 3 weeks, people want something different. So this is where
Mm.
innovation comes in. So in my line of work, I guess I'm lucky because I'm the chef, so I can just create something new and
Experiment.
add it onto the menu. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the case of burger, the one that we launched recently, so our burger of the month, for example, we called Lestat. Um, what is Lestat? It's a burger with cream cheese and garlic. And what makes it different is that we use black garlic paste that takes 4 weeks to make and add some bacon. So it's
Wow.
something that not a lot of people can do and something that people haven't tried. So
Yeah.
it reinvigorates the excitement of the product line once again.
Yeah. You really have to squeeze those ideas, those creative juices
Right.
to think of new ways.
Always, always,
Yeah.
always. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Thanks, Jan. So, okay,
Thank
I
you.
also have another question from Anonymous. For the young people watching, we're probably curious how we can raise capital for our business ideas. Once we are able to finalize and fine tune our business model and pitch, where can we find the network for potential investors to pitch to?
So young, I would understand that the young entrepreneurs means like maybe college level or just post college.
Yeah.
The thing about starting a business is always start clean, start small, start clean. You can borrow money from your parents. A few thousands is enough. You don't have to go all out. All the materials you need are available locally. In fact, you could start with 1,000 pesos and grow that 1,000 pesos to 3,000 to 5,000 pesos in a matter of 1 week.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of choosing the right product and making sure that your product is well received initially by your family and peers.
Yeah. That's true.
All
Test
right.
it with your network or your
I
circle.
guess I guess the 1,000 to 5,000 sounds really enticing, no? But it's very doable, believe me.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
Mr. Jan was talking about gaining the capital. No, I'd like to
Mm,
expand on where are you going to find a network. There are a lot of networks out there. We know DTI is linked with so many groups. You have Startup Island, the PH. You
yes.
have different communities as well. I'm part of Cebu Chamber of Commerce, which DTI is also closely working with, and Business Network International. These small groups are your chance as young entrepreneurs to get out there, share ideas with people from different industries. Because if you want to learn and possibly even get bigger opportunities, these are the places to be. Join these networks and be active. Be
Yeah.
active.
True. Just get out there, guys. Get out of your homes. Get out of the building.
Right. You have to step out of your comfort zone and pursue these opportunities. If you can find yourself doing this, then you would turn out to be a better entrepreneur. You have to do the legwork.
True. Wise words from our speakers. Note that down. All right. Last question. I have one last question from Dan Audrey's Lagbas. He's asking, any tips on how to sustain a home-based business if it uses third-party vendors like Food Panda or GrabFood? Maybe Sir Jan can start because I
Okay.
think it's very relevant to your business.
All right. So all our deliveries was during the quarantine was handled by the third party delivery services. No. However, of late their rates have gone up. It's quite the prices have gone up dramatically, and the fees also takes a big chunk from your income, your revenue. Now, other people like somebody just who I just contacted earlier has a group of motorcycle riders who can commit to a daily flat rate or
Mm,
to a flat rate per delivery, especially if you're a homemaker. So again, I think I mentioned it in my video that if you guys have any more questions, I know we are short on time, but if you have any questions, you can shoot me a message on Messenger or on Viber. We're more than willing to share any information.
thanks for
It's
that.
right. I'd like to say that I think all of us here, the reason we're here is we want to help the youth find their way, make it easier for them to start a business, and connect them to the right people and the right resources.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Sir John. So we have 5 minutes left. I think I'll just squeeze in one more question, which could also serve to be your last words for our young entrepreneurs. So Anonymous is asking, as a student, I would like to ask something about, is it ideal if you are going to start your business at your young age? Or is it better if you will start a business when you are already financially stable? So I'll ask the three of you to share your insights on that as your last words. Who wants to start?
Charm?
Sige, I'll start.
Mhm.
Go, Charm.
For me, based on experience, I started my business when I was 20 years old. So, I would definitely, I guess at that age, majority of the people don't have a lot of responsibilities yet. So this is, speaking generally, right? So, I think it's a great time to start your business. But that's something that you're gonna pursue for your 20s. But I personally also, my first business was when I was 7 years old, and I just kept doing and starting businesses up until I was college, and that really equipped me to know how businesses work in a sense, and made me understand like the problems that might arise and how to deal with them, and it kind of honed me to how I do my businesses today. So I would definitely recommend for people to start a business early, but you don't have to do it as a full-time job just yet. So if you have a 9 to 5, you have responsibilities, you still need that salary. Start as a side hustle first. Like when you're after work or weekends, you can definitely um, start a side hustle that might eventually become a full time business later on. So that's what I did personally, and I recommend it to people.
Awesome. Thank you, Charm. How about you, Aaron?
In
What do
our
you?
case, I'm actually a third generation business owner. No, my grandmother, she started business out of necessity because um, she needed to.
Mm,
There was no funds to pay for their family, bring them to school, so she did it out of necessity. This was not the hotel yet, by the way. This was
mm,
just into trading canned goods. Growing up, my father, my uncles, they got into the hotel business. They were asking themselves, should we go for a stable job into the banks or pharmaceuticals, etc., as a management position, or should we take a risk? So that's a question you have to ask yourself as entrepreneurs.
yeah.
Are you willing to take that risk, that step? Because it's a totally different ball game. You don't have the typical 9 a.m. to 5 work, and you don't have a paycheck every 15 days. As an entrepreneur, you actually have to go through the grind. A lot of young ones already know the hashtag hustle hard. That's what we're all facing now during this pandemic, and I'm glad to have grown up in that environment where nothing is on the silver platter. You actually have to work it every single day. Every phone call, every text is actually a sale. So you have to take the most of every opportunity. So getting into business isn't just a dream. You actually have to build it yourself.
Great. Thank you for those words, Aaron. How about you, Jan?
I would say start as early as you can. Uh, Make calculated risks. Start small, start clean. The more you make mistakes, the more you learn, and the better you become when you don't repeat those mistakes. So, as I mentioned earlier, I already am training my kids to understand the business process and what goes on behind it. Nothing is handed on a silver platter. You gotta work hard for it.
Yeah.
And yes, every phone call and text is a possible sale. So when people say you're multitasking, as an entrepreneur, you really are, and not just with the family as well as everything else. You have to keep your energy up, and you have to have the enthusiasm to do it. And what better age to have that energy, enthusiasm when you're young, right? High school, especially, good time to start to entrepreneurship. If you ask me.
Awesome. I love it. I agree. And there you have it. Thank you very much, Aaron, Charm, and Jan, for the time and effort that you have given to us this afternoon. And the youth, I'm sure we are very thankful for you, for the inspiration that you give to this generation, to just start your own business and create big things out of it. So once again, thank you very much. And
Thanks
we
for
hope
having us.
you guys
Thank you.
learned a lot from our speakers this afternoon. All right, so that wraps up DTI Region 7's second installment of our Youth Entrepreneurship Program webinar series. We are holding these kinds of webinars to inspire all of our youth to begin their challenging but exciting journeys to success by learning from the very best young entrepreneurs that we have in our country. So that was just a taste of all the other fun and informative webinars that DTI Region 7 has prepared for us. I hope that everyone was able to learn something new this afternoon, and I hope we will be able to practice what we learned. All right, so I would just like to extend my warmest thanks to all of our speakers for sharing their journeys and knowledge in order to empower and inspire all of our viewers to begin their journeys as entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and valuable time. At syempre, maraming salamat din sa ating mga viewers na walang sawang tumatangkilik sa ating mga educational webinars. Sana po isinasapuso natin lahat ng mga natutunan natin ngayong hapon. Kayo po ang nagbibigay lakas at inspirasyon sa amin na gumawa ng mga informative webinars. So maraming salamat. Before we officially wrap up this afternoon session, to all our viewers right now who are watching, especially our youth, continue chasing your dreams. The road may not be easy, but is all part of the grind towards success. As they all say, nothing worth having comes easy. All your hard work will pay off as long as you never stop trying and learning. We are all rooting for you to achieve your dream business. So don't give up, okay? I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the Department of Trade and Industry Region 7 for organizing and initiating this webinar. Thank you for providing a platform for our viewers and entrepreneurs to learn from the best in the industry. Maraming salamat. So everyone who is watching us this afternoon, if you enjoyed our webinar and want to learn more from our experts, please take note of all our upcoming webinars. As always, this is an effort to inspire everyone to start our economic rebuilding and recovery process. Please take note of the following dates for our Youth Entrepreneurship Program. November 3, we have Business Startup Stories. And on November 10, we have Government Programs for Entrepreneurs and other webinars. I think this is very helpful to those who are planning to start their businesses. This will give you more inputs or knowledge on how you go about the government processes to get started. And for our digital marketing strategies for MSMEs webinars, please take note of the following dates. This October 29, that's tomorrow, knowing and reaching out to your customers online. And on November 5, we have e-commerce, how to sell your products online. November 12, content marketing, using content to promote your brand. November 19, we have social media marketing, using social media to connect with your audience. And lastly, November 26, we have Facebook and Instagram marketing tips for MSMEs. Wow, these topics sound very exciting for our entrepreneurs. So make sure that you don't miss this. As you can see, for our upcoming webinars, we have prepared a very diverse set of topics that you can learn from selling your products online to learning how to run Facebook ads to promote your products. You can expect that we have invited an amazing lineup of experts that will share their expertise on these topics that we have lined up for everyone. Please do take note of our webinar again that will happen tomorrow. Don't forget, mark your calendars. We will learn more about knowing and reaching out to your customers. As we all know, customers are the bread and butter of every business out there. So it is very important that we know how to cater to their needs and how we can effectively communicate with them. So, catch this webinar tomorrow, October 29, 2 p.m. Philippine Standard Time via Zoom and Facebook Live, just like how we're doing it right now. All right, so these webinars are all DTI 7's initiative with the goal of encouraging everyone, especially our youth, you, to start your own businesses and to adopt technology solutions and making it safer for both businesses and consumers. As community involvement is critical to the program success, DTI 7 hopes that the webinar that we had this afternoon was able to give our viewers a clearer idea on how they can develop their own business models as well. So for more information and to stay updated, like and follow DTI 7 at Facebook. That's DTI Region 7 in Roman numerals, Central Visayas. You can also subscribe to our DTI 7 digital channel on YouTube. All right, so you can see DTI everywhere online now. Okay, so again, thank you for joining the Department of Trade and Industry Region 7's second installment of our YEP webinars. We hope to see you in our upcoming webinars. This has been Rachel Lenly Tuhoy saying that with initiative and collaborative effort, we will always be ready to recover as one safe community. Jose Rizal's quote still holds true up to this day. Ang kabataan, ang pag-asa ng bayan. So for the youth out there, what are you waiting for? Get started now. Goodbye and stay safe, everyone.